hearing an excavated eulogy from my father would be such a difficult job. I never believed it had such a hard time articulating and summarizing what my father was all about. I didn't think so because I spent my whole life analyzing and studying my father. My father was my Rebbe, mentor, murder, whatever you want to call it. But yesterday when I had to put pen to paper and try to sum it all up, it was very, very difficult. So Daddy, please be mindful of me. If I don't cover everything, I know I won't. Nevertheless, I'll try. Someone once asked me 2 years ago, what do you attribute your father's success? And I spontaneously gave him an answer that, frankly, I was surprised at myself when I said it. But I think it's 100% the truth, 100% divided my father. Well, my father never really had a formal yeshiva education. My father probably never finished a Sefer Musar. My father's life truly embodies a Sefer Musar. He truly was, in many ways, a walking Musar Sefer. I just want to touch upon a couple of midos about my father. First and foremost, about my father. My father understood Dharma, Chavasa, Bhavama. A person has to know what his purpose in life is, what his mission in life is, what his requirement in life is in this world. Anybody who knew my father knew that he had a laser-like focus that was unparalleled. He understood that he was put on this world by the Rebbeinu Shalom to help people, to help his fellow Jews. Whether it was helping Aniyim B'das, the assimilated Jews, or helping Aniyim B'mamon, poor Jews, whether it was helping Jews in Eretz Yisrael, helping Medinat Yisrael survive. My father was there. My father had a way of getting the maximum from everybody, of demanding the most from everybody around him, pushing everybody to the limit. But even more so, he had a way of demanding the maximum from himself, of pushing himself to the limit. He was constantly chiding himself, am I doing enough? His focus is unbelievable. I remember one Rosh Hashanah, I think Raimi alluded to it. One Rosh Hashanah afternoon, my father showed up at my house, and he said he has to talk to me. And he says, I don't want to be a chafetz toiv. I don't want to be ungrateful. God's been so good to me. What more can I do? I'm not doing enough. What can we do? I don't want to be a chafetz toiv. These are the thoughts that occupied my father Rosh Hashanah afternoon. It was because of this tremendous focus on his mission in life that he abhorred anything that he called wasting money. And stories about my father, flying coach, are legendary. But my father's disdain for wasting money didn't come from the fact that he was cheap. Somebody with my father's white dress could not have been so cheap. Plain and simply, it was off the focus. We have a focus, and that's what we have to focus on. These are very, very simply for a person of his means. It was this very focus that drove my father to create moises around the world, from his early work with Chatzmoy that was mentioned here, with the Baron, the tens and tens of moises that my father helped establish in the 70s through the U.S. government-funded programs, the AID program, the Mitzvot in Eretz Yisrael, in the 80s, the schools that he built in America, the Chafetz Chaim's, the schools in France, the schools in the FSU. Wherever there were Jews, that's what my father was interested in. In the 90s and beyond, my father turned his focus towards creating community Kollel and a variety of other Kibbutz projects to help educate the unaffiliated. A prominent Makarav last night told me that he was leaving his camp to go to the Levaya, and he saw a random boy there, and he said to the boy, "I'm going to your spiritual father's funeral." And the boy looked at him and he said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "I'm going to the Levaya, Mr. Wolfson." And the boy didn't really know who Mr. Wolfson was, so he continued talking to him. And he said, "So how did you get involved?" And it was soon revealed that the way he got involved was from a few of the projects along the way that my father started. It wouldn't surprise me if in the coming future we're going to see a tremendous pickup in Cuba around the world, because the unaffiliated now have a tremendous meditation in Shemaim that's going to beseech the Rebbeinu Shalom to help them find their way back to the Father of Shemaim. My father was a tremendous honor. It was mentioned before, but it can't be mentioned enough. I have no doubt in my mind that my father was looking out at this crowd and saying, "Why is everybody here? What are they doing here?" My father truly believed that he wasn't anything special. The fact that he was one of the first American Jews to very successfully lobby Congress on behalf of the state of Israel. He didn't think it was anything special. He would always say anybody can do it. There's nothing special. My father had a tremendous understanding that everything came from Rebbeinu Shalom. Everything came, as Moshe mentioned, my father's Emuna. My father had a tremendous understanding that everything came from Rebbeinu Shalom. Everything was the other. I remember once I was going with him to a meeting in a big bank, a very important meeting with the CEO of the bank. And we were being brought to the CEO by number 2 man at the bank. And the number 2 man wanted to impress his boss by showing him the new client that he was bringing. So he said to him, "Mr. Wolfson, tell so-and-so how you made your money." And my father said, "God gave it to me. God helped me." And this number 2 was getting visibly embarrassed that here he is bringing his big client. And my father persisted. And he said, "God gave it to me."